The stage is set. Western Kentucky Hilltoppers 4-1 visit the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens, currently 3-1, in a big Conference USA matchup on Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports Network. I'm Nathan Johnston alongside Brad Hopkins. It's time to break the huddle. Brad, I bring you in now for this marquee matchup on Friday night. Kind of a different matchup than what we're used to calling, but I thought it was really important to highlight this game this week simply because these two teams don't get enough love. Brad, I'd like to start off by asking you, what are your thoughts on these two teams in this conference as a whole?
Yeah, Nate. So I really, first of all, want to start with Western Kentucky. I think, going into the season, kind of one of the favorites there in Conference USA. They've been just such a consistent team, such a consistent program. 4-1 on the year. If you're looking for a fun offense to watch, they're going to throw the ball all over the field. So if you like quarterbacks that can sling it, Western Kentucky's got one. They've got an exciting receiving core. And then for Delaware, of course, their first year as a full-time member of the FBS. And Nate, I've been impressed with them. Off to a 3-1 start. I believe their lone loss is to Colorado. So I would say, it's so tough making that transition from FCS to FBS. But hey, at 3-1, I don't know that they have too much to be down about. They're off to a great start. That's not known as a huge football state, but hats off to the Fighting Blue Hens. I think they have made the transition, taken it on with a full head of steam, and I'm honestly excited to watch this game. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, and as the fans of Delaware know, this is the former school of NFL quarterback Joe Flacco. So, hey, he's ending the time of his career in the NFL. Maybe he makes the jump to coaching or Andrew Luck, like a GM type role. Very curious to see how that plays out. That's going to be exciting. But yeah, a lot of great things happening for Delaware this year as they enter the FBS. Right now, they've got a balanced attack on offense. They're averaging about 418 points per game. And you mentioned their quarterback, Nick Minnakuchi. I hope I pronounced this right. Nick Minnakuchi. Over 1,000 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, completing 65% of his passes. You look at the run game, Jonathan Silver, a.k.a. Joe Silver, 326 yards on the year, 3 touchdowns. Kyrie Doplisis, 306 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, a dynamic receiver for the Blue Hens. Their strengths and weaknesses, Brad, efficient on third down. They rank 25th in the nation, 50% conversion rate on third down. That's pretty good. The biggest issue, though, is the red zone offense, ranked 108th right now, only scoring 76% of the time. And you look at the defense, too, of the Blue Hens, not the greatest. They're giving up an average of over 400 yards of offense. And they're susceptible against both run and pass, allowing 26.3 points per game. My question to you, Brad, is do you believe that Delaware's offense can outscore their defense's issues against an explosive Western Kentucky team?
That's going to be the story because I personally think Delaware is going to have a tough time slowing down this Hilltopper offense, specifically the Hilltopper passing attack. And Nate, to me, the matchup for me is, can Delaware you asked the question perfectly. Can Delaware score points to keep up? You made a good point. It's a balanced attack for the Blue Hen offense. Good passing game, good rushing game. But then you brought up that red zone offense, and that scares me. In this kind of game where you're not the favorite, you've got to take advantage of those red zone opportunities. And I just don't know that Delaware is going to quite have the offensive firepower to keep up with the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, and speaking of the Hilltoppers offense, let's jump right into it. Very pass heavy, 447 yards total offense, but 321 of those yards per game coming through the air. That's crazy. And what a name for their quarterback, Maverick. Quarterback named Maverick McIver, I believe is how you pronounce it. 1,400 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, completing 66% of his passes. His go-to guy, wide receiver Matthew Henry, 278 yards, 3 touchdowns. And you look at the run attack. Yes, it's minimal, but it's still needed in college football. Lavelle Wright, a modest rushing totals, but has 5 rushing touchdowns. So they're doing pretty good offensively. Defensively, though, ranked 93rd in yards per game, over 386 yards per game allowed. Not the best defense, but they're strong against the pass. They rank 33rd in the nation, only giving up 176 yards per game. Penalties have cost Western Kentucky, though, Brad. That's the storyline for me. Can they get that fixed? Because when we look at penalties, we see this all around college football, and every week it seems like, especially on those Friday night games, right? Maybe they're a little tired. Maybe they're a little less disciplined than they usually are. Maybe they're coming off of a short week. The storyline to me is, can Western Kentucky clean up those penalty yards? They rank 119th, averaging 74 yards penalties per game. That's not great, Brad. You can't win ball games giving up a touchdown in penalty yards per game. Do you think Delaware has the run game to exploit Western Kentucky's leaky rushing defense, or do you think Western Kentucky's just head and shoulders above what we're looking at from the Blue Hens?
Yeah, no disrespect to Delaware, but I think this is a game where just in a transition here, I think they could be outmatched, and I do think they're going to be fired up. This is you mentioned it, it's a conference game, but I do think Western Kentucky is they're just the better team, and I think that's going to show on Friday night. That explosive passing attack is I think going to really be the storyline, be the reason that this game I think personally gets out of hand. But I just excited to watch Delaware. This is going to be my first time watching them. Excited to see what they continue to do in FBS, but I think it could be a long Friday night for them.
Yeah, it's a very close spread. I believe they have it at around 2.5 right now in favor of the Hilltoppers, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong. 2.5 in Delaware's favor, excuse me. Right now, the spread is 2.5 in Delaware's favor at Delaware. This is a big game at Delaware Stadium for the Blue Hens. I mean, a primetime matchup. Everyone's going to be watching on Friday night. We'll be watching on Break the Huddle After Dark, even though we will not be giving full coverage of this game. We will be watching it closely. And my question to you, Brad, is a curveball question. What do you see being more decisive in this game? Do you think it's Delaware's efficiency on third down, or do you think it's Western Kentucky's ability to hit that big play down the field through the air?
Yeah, I fully think that Western Kentucky is going to hit some big plays through the air. I think they're going to, I think they're going to take some deep shots. And Nate, one thing that stands out to me, just Western Kentucky's depth. Just guys catching the ball. I mean, they've got, I believe if I counted correctly, they've got 7 guys with double-digit catches, 6, but and it's crazy. Their guy that on their roster who has caught the most passes, not the most yards, but most passes, is a running back. So that just shows you they really spread the ball out. As a defense, you cannot focus on one guy. You have got to be disciplined. I'm interested to see how Delaware plays it. Do they really decide to, hey, we're going to go all out, we're going to sell out and really just blitz Maverick and try to force some turnovers and some incompletions, or are we going to use a bend but don't break kind of style and try to just keep things in front of us? But I think Western Kentucky's depth in their pass catchers is really going to be the big storyline in this one.
Yeah, and to your point about rushing the quarterback of Delaware and Maverick, I think the Blue Hens got to take a chance. They got guys on the defensive line like Nick Minnakuchi. He's a guy to look out for. He's ranked 54th in the nation as a defensive end. And then you look at the other side of the ball and it's loading, so I'll cut this part out. And then you look at the other side of the ball and Jack Hall. He's a really good player for Delaware as well on the defensive side of the ball. So they got the guys up front to make some push against that front offensive 5 for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. The question is, can it be enough? Will it be enough to maybe force Maverick to make some uneasy throws? I don't know if that's going to be possible, considering that is their whole offense. But when you look at the overarching theme of this game, it definitely is going to be coming down to, can Delaware stop? Not necessarily stop. I don't think they're going to stop. Can they limit Maverick's ability to throw the ball down the field? And can Western Kentucky play clean, efficient football, penalty-free football? Those are the 2 storylines that I'm looking at. Brad, I'll turn it over to you. Like I said, 2.5 point spread in favor of Delaware. You got to think that's home field advantage. Vegas has this one basically as a coin flip if it's neutral sighting. Who do you have coming out on top 7 p.m. Eastern time on Friday night between Western Kentucky and Delaware?
Yeah, give me the Hilltoppers in this one. Once again, I think this offense is going to be tough to stop from Delaware. I'm excited to watch this one though, Nate. It surprised me a little bit that Delaware's the favorite, but we've seen Western Kentucky has at times struggled a little bit this year, but I just think that passing attack is going to be too much. I think it's going to overwhelm that Delaware secondary. Excuse me, and I'm going to take the Hilltoppers. I'm going to take the Hilltoppers by double digits. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think they'll win by 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, for me, this game is about so many storylines. But another one I want to mention too is for Delaware, you got to control the pace of play. You got to control the tempo, right? You got to keep that Western Kentucky offense off the field as much as possible to get him out of rhythm. It's almost like the pitching count for a pitcher. If he's off the field too long, will he come out and pitch as efficiently as he would early on? I don't know if they can do that. You look at Western Kentucky's passing attack, and that is their MO. That is their way to victory. And you mentioned it yourself, the running back position leads and catches too. So they love to spread the ball. They're going to drive up and down the field. And that's what worries me. You can't control the tempo if Western Kentucky gets out hot really quickly. You get down 14-0. You're going to have to make some plays offensively if you're Delaware, and it's just going to be playing catch-up ball from there. I do think that they keep this game close, though. I do think that they keep it within a touchdown. These Friday night games are finicky, man. I've watched 14-point spreads turn into 3-point wins on Friday nights for Break the Huddle After Dark, especially with the Louisville-James Madison game just a few weeks ago when I covered that. So give me the Hilltoppers, but I think that it is a less than a 7-point win for Western Kentucky. I think Delaware keeps this game very close, and I'm pumped to watch this one as well too, Brad. Drop your score predictions down below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next week. It's time to break the huddle.